Hello, today I'm joined by my guest Kristjan Byfield from the Depositary. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, my man. How you doing?
I'm very, very well. A very quick congratulations to you on all your Esther's wins. I've been following your progress online. Fabulous stuff.
Yeah, it was a good day. I want to keep on saying it was a good night because it always feels like night when you're in that
But
room.
it's very
But
much a night that takes place during the day.
it is that weird thing that every time you pop out for a cigarette, you're like, oh, it's actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon and people are doing normal stuff as you tuck
Um,
into your fifth glass of wine.
well, when you are not providing a world-class service to landlords and to tenants and winning awards, you are also running an award-winning prop tech company that does something very special and very unique because it just doesn't exist elsewhere. But it's something that is really, really needed. For those people that are not familiar with what the depository does, for all of those people who've been living under a rock, for all of those people who are still dealing with all that tedious post-tenancy admin in terms of negotiating deposit releases and speaking to landlords and tenants and trying to all that time-consuming stuff that makes us all go very grey.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you do for those agents to help them?
Well, I think you've kind of stolen my thunder there. I mean, we take all of that grunt work. I think, I don't think there's a letting agent in the land that loves the end of tenancy process. Um, we reckon the average tenancy is 3 to 4 hours work. And a lot of that is very kind of low level kind of grunt work. There's very little value in it. And we basically try to get as rid of as much of that as possible. So we typically turn a 3 to 4 hour process into about 15 minutes work.
It's superb, and I think it's backed fully by the feedback that you get from agents that you've been using it for just a very short period of time. I
Yeah.
want you to relay, because I have heard this before in another life. I want you to relay a little bit of feedback that you got from one agent that was adamant that they never needed it, they didn't want it, they didn't need it on board, but their bosses made a decision to bring it in anyway. What happened?
Yeah, so that was with Haslam's a few years ago. They approached us and they'd identified in their business that kind of the end of tenancy process was kind of where they were dropping the ball. They're being really good at everything, but their deposits were taking way too long to return, about twice the national average. And they got fantastic feedback throughout the business, but their almost sole source of complaints within lettings was end of tenancy. And so, yeah, they came to us to help solve that problem. One of their senior property managers, as you said, fought tooth and nail. She was like, no, I've done this job. I can't remember how long it was, but she's been a property manager for 10 to 15 years. And she was adamant. She was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I've done this job. I've got my system. How is this going to change it? And she fought tooth and nail, but thankfully, leadership there at the time, um, had a very clear vision of they were going to implement and roll out within the business. And yeah, like you said, we got the loveliest email from that lady about a month after deployment, who totally unprompted by boss or team just sent us an email basically going, how wrong could I have been? You've changed my life. She was like, I thought I was on top of stuff, but actually I was just kind of, like a duck on water, looking calm, but pedaling. But she was like, I've now suddenly freed up. I'm on top of all my deposits. Like it's just, everything is in hand, but it's also freed me up to do stuff where I really add value to the business. So yeah, it was kind of a dream feedback, really. I mean, there's nothing better than really
No,
winning.
you've converted her, and that's great. That is really great. So, more good news for Reapit customers, though. If you're a Reapit customer, it's great for managing your properties. It does a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to day-to-day tenancy management. It's a well-trusted piece of kit, and big outfits use it. Smaller ones too, but it's a very robust CRM, and it does tenancy management pretty damn well. The bit that it hasn't done until now is the end of tenancy process. But good news for Reapit customers. Now you too can enjoy the benefits of the depository but in a really, really seamless way. Tell us about the integration.
So, look, as an agent, we get it. We want products integrated, and this was always on our roadmap, but we also wanted to do it properly. We've all been sold an integrated solution, and then you very quickly realize that's wouldn't get past the Property Misdescriptions Act. Let's put it that way. So we wanted to build something proper, and to be fair, we've worked with LRG, the Leaders Romans Group, for 3 years prior to this, and we worked with them, kind of understanding what a proper end-to-end integration looks like, and then that is what we've built out with Reapit. So we have, exactly as I just said, we have built a literally full end-to-end integration at all the touch points. It's a two-way integration. So data comes to us, we also pass data back. And there is literally no manual interaction between our two platforms. They speak seamlessly. So we can configure the integration according to how a client exactly wants it to. But fundamentally, when you trigger a tenancy conclusion in Reapit, the end confirmed, that pulls all of the data and key documents into our platform. You've then got like a review process where you make sure that is all correct. Really importantly, we've built functionality that kind of improves an agent's data. So we will flag key missing data fields like email addresses, contact numbers, if landlord names aren't
Yeah.
complete, but you have to update them immediately.
Forwarding address.
Yeah. So forwarding addresses, as agents, we know they're so hard to get
Yeah.
hold of. For our insured clients, for anyone with TDS or My Deposits insured, the way that we gather payment instructions at the end, it's mandatory for them to give us forwarding address. So, about 96% of all tenants submit bank details.
Yeah.
And so with that comes a forwarding address. And we import that straight into Reapit. So that goes into the address to field of your tenant records. And then, as we all know, most tenants will stay within the rental market and will typically stay within a relatively local market. And so, what that represents for agents is over time, that's going to build out quite a handsome prospecting
Yeah.
database.
Yeah.
So, that's going to give you a lot of properties within your local area that a tenant's moved into. And if you've ended that relationship well with the tenant before, using a fantastic platform that helps end that on a high, what a great way to kind of check in with the tenant maybe a few months in and be like, oh, how's your landlord? How's the new letting and managing agent?
Yeah.
If you're not happy, maybe you'd like to make an intro. So there's some good opportunities there, but it's a real problem data field for people to catch. We capture it seamlessly and we push it in. Um, we also, for accounting teams, we can create reconciliation data. So whether it's a custodial deposit and it's just the ledger of the deposit, so that they know what to expect back from the deposit scheme, or for an insured client where it is full reconciliation, where we've got the deposit ledger, but also which tenant gets what and their bank details. And we create a reconciliation document, which we push into Reapit. And then we can also trigger a task within Reapit to alert the accounts team that basically that deposit is ready to reconcile and all the information is sat as a letter, as Reapit calls them, within that tenancy record. And then the really nice last step is that when the accounts team goes and reconciles the deposit within Reapit, one of the actions they'll do is they'll complete the deregistered date. And that gets sent to us. So we know they've reconciled it internally. And so that automatically triggers our final action. So if you don't already have Reapit on protecting your deposit, we will. We will notify the tenants that things are coming. We create a completion document, which is a complete snapshot of the whole transaction for due diligence. And again, we push that into the Reapit tenancy record for future reference. And then it gets archived and taken off a dashboard. So
It sounds amazing, and it sounds for Reapit customers, this is a no-brainer. This is the missing piece to your tenancy puzzle that you've been looking for a long time, and it doesn't need to be painful now to bring this on board and to get it integrated because you've spent a great deal of time testing it, working on it, and building it. So that is absolutely amazing. Just before we end, if you're talking to those Reapit customers today, what's your message to them in terms of how they should go about, um, arranging I mean, I think they need to have a look at your platform first of all to understand the beauty of it. But you guys are particularly easy to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're really easy to arrange a demo with. We do a very transparent, very comprehensive demo. So we set up our system according to what deposit scheme the agent works with, and we look at what integrated partners, because like you said, we've now got kind of the whole system integrated. So we've got the deposit schemes at the top end. We've got 9 integrated inventory partners now. We've got Please Connect Me for utilities, and we've got Reapit at the CRM end, and we've got some other bits, some other exciting bits coming in the pipeline as well. But yeah, just jump on our website, reach out to myself or Carla socially. On our website, you can literally just book it in yourself. There are links. You just pick a date and time that you want. It's a 1 hour session. We will, like I said, ask a few details about portfolio size, deposit scheme, inventory partners, etc. But then what you get is a full end-to-end demo of the platform, and we walk through the customization of the platform. Because again, this is something we don't talk a lot about now. We did early doors, but one thing we get as letting agents is how you do something is very much part of your identity as a letting agent. Your process is
Yeah.
kind of what you sell to your landlords. So we knew we couldn't just go kicking down doors and be like, hey, we know you do it that way, but we figured out the best way. Um, how an agent does it is very personal to them. So there is an insane amount of customization and configuration within our platform, which our agents also have access to. You don't have to raise a support ticket and wait a week for someone to get back to you and then pay 300 quid to have an extra paragraph tweaked. Like every configuration within our platform, with the exception of how we configure the Reapit integration, which we have to do back end. But everything in there, agents can go in and tweak it. So if they want to update the content of an email, they can. Like we've got 95 different email templates within our platform. Every single one of them can be customized. I mean, don't, but you can. But, I think, that's the nice thing nowadays for people like me coming into this space as agents, as either former or current agents, is we get it and we don't steamroll the stuff that's really important to agents. So, but yeah, demo is really easy to do. It's an hour long, and that includes Q&A. And if you like what you see, we can typically get people up and running literally within days. If they're keen to move that fast, we can typically get someone set up, trained, integrated, and live within a week.
Sounds superb, and I've done many testimonials. You can find them out there. I've spoken to the agents. It's sickening how nice they are about you guys and the feedback that they give. Genuinely, I think that's one of the nicest things that they give this feedback unprompted. Nobody twists their arm. You are social. People do know you, but you do care as well, which I think comes across in all the products that you release as well. You want agents to win mainly because
Yeah,
you're an agent yourself and and I actually on another side note, I attended your anniversary bash where a lot of your clients were present. So I'm talking about landlords and previous tenants that were
yeah.
there. And again, they all have. I mean, I wish I could say that all mine, if I got my landlords together in a room, would they have nice things to say about me? I know that there are friction points in the transactions that we do with both tenants and landlords, and unfortunately, sometimes the victim of it is the relationship. But
Yeah.
you found a way to kind of remove the friction from one of the ends of the process that was always causing trouble,
Well, I mean,
really.
that's literally why we built it, right? Is because we have a phenomenally good relationship with our landlords and our tenants. But what kind of triggered this? And it was the team that came to me and Anne. Well, this wasn't us kicking around, oh, how do we start a software company? Um, the team came to us and basically said, look, we've got all these bits of tech and everything that makes everything really smooth. But the end of tenancy process is horrible because it is so manual and there's so little value in what you do. It's lots of chasing and explaining and re-explaining and re-chasing. And it drives people bonkers getting that fifth email of when am I going to get my deposit back? Or.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important part of our journey. Is it was the team came to us and went, "Please, can you solve this problem?" And we went out to look for a solution, and there wasn't, And so that was the journey we went from. And so many agents now are putting in so much effort to deliver a fantastic landlord and tenant experience. Um, but then drop the ball right at the end with this process just because it is so onerous and time consuming and everything else, with everything that people have got on their plates, particularly right now, the renters' rights bill around the corner and
Yeah.
everything. And what a shame to have a relationship with a tenant for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years that's good, and then you end up with this kind of toxic relationship at the end because they feel you've messed them around or you've just
Just
dropped the
it's
ball.
friction and miscommunication crop up and the delays. It's all of these things that
And
really
the other thing
dissolve
is,
relationships super quickly.
one of my favorite bits of feedback we get, a bit like we alluded to earlier, with the lady at Haslam's, is improved job satisfaction. That is a really common thing that we will see when we see in emails or when we jump online with someone to fix an issue or something like that. Probably the most common thing we get from the front end users who use this platform is the fact that they no longer dread this process. They come in and it's a couple of times a day on our platform, just catching up with the actions that are on them. And then they get on with the
It
rest of the day.
works.
And it's not this messy noise that they know they've got to try and somehow find time in their day to do somewhere. It's quick and it's done, and everyone's happy. And that's one of the best bits of feedback I can get. If we can keep the people who actually are doing the work happy, then eventually we'll get everyone else on board.
Well, you and I could sit here and talk about your solutions and the industry for hours, and that's one of the problems. So we're going to bring this to a
We are
close.
going to bring,
We
and
are
I
going to say
will.
goodbye to one another. Thank you so much. Do pop back and tell us what you've got in store in the future, though, because you are constantly evolving your product, which is great.
We've got
You
some really exciting bits coming. And also, everything we've talked about is included in our prices. Unlike a lot of companies, our pricing is on our website, and that price includes everything. So there is no surcharge for Reapit. There is no surcharge for any of our integrated partners. All of our planned releases are included in that. So we've released our first AI tool 6 weeks ago, and we've got two more coming in the next couple of months. So yeah, exciting times. But now
secrets, no
I'm going.
spoilers, no spoilers.
Yeah.
For now, goodbye.
But now,
See you soon.
goodbye.
Thank you.